Hey, what's up? This is Erik. You're listening to Grit City Punk.
Trickle Down Productions.
Welcome back to Grit City Punk. Thank you so much for joining me. We have another great show for you. A little different. We don't have a typical interview this week, but we do have some cool stuff, and I'll get into that later. First of all, I'd like to say, what a rad show at Real Art. On the 21st, it was Kapala, Mourning Glory, Grenadine, and Velvet. Killer bands, killer sets, great show, great energy. Had a lot of fun. 3 of those bands I had seen before. 1, Grenadine, I'd never seen. Huge shout out to all 4 of them. Great bands. You could hop on over to my YouTube page, UGTV, and watch some videos from all of those bands. And a ton of other videos from almost every show I've been to over the last year. And like I said, not a typical show. We've got something different lined up for this one. I've got an interview, but not with a band you may know, but with a friend of mine named Erik. And we are giving the first installment of the Grit City Punk's Handbook for the Recently DIY. This will be an ongoing series, every so often during the show, no set schedule, and we're just going to go through our talk to different people about different subjects, kind of advice and tips on how to do stuff for your band, how to promote, how to use the Bandcamp, which is what this episode is going to focus on. Other ones may be having to do with merch or with booking shows, whatever. There's a big wide open field for this stuff. I'm not an expert by any means. Not everybody I talk to is going to be an expert, but just from lived and learned experience, just like to kind of talk about and help people out with stuff that maybe we've heard or maybe we've experienced. But first, we got to do some new music. Let's get to it. All right, first up, we've got Tacoma band Mourning Glory. They released a single with a B-side for the song Gimme Money, and the B-side is a cover of Constantinople. They put this on Bandcamp a few weeks ago, released it everywhere on the 14th. There are CDs of this available. It's a CD single. It costs you $5 if you see them at a show. You can also buy it on their Bandcamp. Let's take a listen. This is called Gimme Money.
Just who I am.
Yes. Next up, there was a split from Landlost and End of Dayz, whom I believe are both from Seattle. I could be a little off on that. They just released a split. I'm going to do a song from each of them here. This first one is Bound by Honor from Landlost. Alright, and this next one from the Landlost End of Dayz split, just in time for JAG, which is happening right now as we speak, as I'm recording. This is called Onslaught. It's from End of Dayz.
I don't need to know you. You only need to know me. I will be the one.
All right, next up, the artist Soda Cracker Jesus, featuring The Dissonance Theory, just dropped a new single on the 21st. It's called Hate Just Makes Me Numb.
I'm feeling numb. I'm feeling numb. I'm feeling numb. I'm feeling numb. There's a gun that I need to shoot. There are flies on the love I choose. Defecate on the broken rules. Lies are now the truth. I'm alive but I don't know why. When I laugh it just makes me cry. Chemicals so I see the light. Monkeys that can fly. Hate just makes me numb. Look around, it's just begun. Hate just makes me numb. Raise your hands, now we're having fun. Ha ha ha. There's a God that will need to die. Be yourself in the morning light. Cut your wrist while you got the time. Lies are now the truth. Digging holes to fill the sins. Overdose on the will to win. Selling souls cause we all sin. Lies become the truth. Hate just makes me numb. Look around, it's just begun. Hate just makes me numb. Raise your hands, now we're having fun. I'm feeling low. I'm feeling low. I'm feeling low. So the story goes. So the story goes. Hate just makes me numb. Look around, it's just begun. Hate just makes me numb. Look around, we're having fun. Hate just makes me numb. Look around, love's on the run. Hate just makes me numb. Look around, we're having
Man, I always enjoy a good Soda Cracker Jesus song. Last one I want to talk about here is from an artist by the name of Jody Ellen, and this is her brand new single featuring Tara Chug? I am bad. I butcher names, and I apologize, Tara. This is called Break Me.
I want you to break me so I can release. I want you to wake me up from dreaming all my dreams. I want you to crave me or leave me instead, so I can get back to who I was before we met. But if I cannot be good enough for you, then who is good enough for me? I want you to break me, want you to convince me that you want me back again. I want you to win, 'cause if you don't shattered to pieces. 'Cause we can't be friends with every memory of you swirling in my head. Why don't you just show me? Don't let me believe I need you to selfishly destroy my everything. And if I cannot be good enough for you, then who is good enough for me? I want you to break me, want you to convince me that you want me back again. I want you to win, 'cause if you don't break me, then I'm gonna hate me. Just let me go, don't hold me back, so I can begin. I want you to love me, but need you to leave me. Your indecision is your answer. Can you set me free? I know the games that you play, and my heart can't take it anymore. I want you to break me, want you to convince me that you want me back again. I want you to win, 'cause if you don't break me, then I'm gonna hate me. Just let me go, don't hold me back, so I can begin.
Handbook for the Recently.
DIY.
I don't know where it came from. Look at that publisher.
Grit City Punk.
Welcome to Handbook for the Recently DIY, Part 1. And I am speaking with my good friend, Erik. Erik, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Great, I'm glad to have you. Before we get started, what does punk mean to you?
What does punk mean to me? Punk
Yes.
is, I would say, first and foremost, it is not a sound. It is an ethic. It's a ethos. It's a awareness of self and society and what's going on around you, and a DIY ethic. I was going to say, I don't know if I'm allowed to be on a segment called Recently DIY because I've been DIY for a long time, but
Well, that's why you're here.
yeah, I think it's individuality, and I think it's that, you know, when I say do it yourself, usually that does not mean individual. It means, you know, within your scene, all supporting and making things happen, putting on shows, you know, helping each other put out records or merch or whatever. Like it takes a community, but it's a community that lives within, beneath, outside of, and peripheral to, you know, the mainstream. I mean, in modern era, the death of the monoculture makes it harder to define what punk and DIY means, because so much of music is kind of falls into that category, but I'll always know what that means.
True. And I think that's kind of part of this podcast, is seeing how kind of the legacy and the ethics of punk culture, especially with the DIY aspects of it, manifests in other genres, hardcore, metal, even hip hop. You look a lot of those. I mean, so much of that punk mindset is present in those genres.
I mean, if you don't think underground hip hop is punk or can be punk, you've got the wrong idea about what punk is.
I would argue that hip hop started the same way that punk started, and it's basically two sides of the same coin.
It really is. I mean, especially the biggest convergence of that is look at the beginnings of New York hardcore and into, you know, the 90s and 2000s. There's so much crossover in those scenes and trading back and forth of people from one scene to another, you know, hardcore bands doing rap side projects and things like that. So there's definitely, you know, they are individual things, but definitely have so many common threads for sure.
Which all culminated in 1993 or 1995 with the release of the Judgment Night soundtrack.
Oh my God. One of my all-time favorites.
Probably the best hip hop rock crossover ever recorded.
I mean, for my money, that is what started the new metal movement.
Oh, for sure.
The rap rock movement. I mean, I think that people heard it and went, oh shit, these things belong together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Now that we have that out of the way. Thank you. That was very, very expertly explained there.
Oh, thanks.
So what we're talking about here, the Handbook for the Recently DIY is a micro series on this podcast. This is the inaugural session of it. It's going to be basically, like it says, a handbook for DIY bands, photographers, labels, even fans. I mean, just like how to do things in a successful way in whatever that you're doing.
Yeah.
So for young bands starting out, or even for seasoned bands that have been around for a while that just are exploring other avenues, I want to make a part of this show to kind of help and maybe use some past experience from myself and others and just kind of what we see in the current scene to just kind of give some advice, some worldly, sagely advice to bands about how to best use their resources that are available to them. Because it's incredible right now. There are more resources available to artists than there ever have been in the history of the world. I mean, as far as like at your fingertips, you could record and distribute music globally in one day at your computer at home with no help from anybody. The problem, though, that arises with that is it's so saturated and so scattered, and there's no solid infrastructure that actually puts artists in the forefront, so that you, no matter what you do, you're basically screaming into the void.
It's, you know, it's a blessing and a curse. You can now get your music out there easier than you ever could before, cheaper than you ever could before. But that means anybody can do it, and anybody is doing it. So at any given time, you're fighting against hundreds of thousands of songs just to get yours heard, you know?
Right. And that's just of all the underground, unsigned indie artists, whatever, doing that. And on top of that, you're fighting against the major labels, what the one that basically still exists with their basically monopoly on streaming platforms.
And they're paying to play in a way that you don't have the ability to.
Correct. So anything that you do is throwing a pebble into a pond. What I want to do with this series is help to make that pebble a little bigger, maybe, or maybe give you a few more pebbles to throw to kind of let those ripples expand a little further than maybe they would have before.
That's fair. I will preface all of this, by the way. You said words like sagely.
That was tongue in cheek.
Well, good. I'll say this. I've been going to shows and in bands since the 90s, and I had varied success. You know, none of them would I say were super successful, but I've lived through it. I've made the mistakes. I've figured out how not to do a lot of things, and how
probably the best lessons ever.
Right. So like, I'm not coming at any of this from an angle of I know best, but I can say, here's some things I've learned along the way that I can help to share.
Correct. And yeah, I definitely want to preface the whole thing the same way. We're not experts at any of this. No. I don't think there are experts at any of it. There is no right or wrong way to do art or music, but there are ways that have been tested and ways that have been proven either successful or unsuccessful or helpful or not. And I think I chose you for this one because you have a lot of experience in just the DIY music scene, playing in bands, watching bands, following bands, both as an artist and a fan. Mm-hmm. And you've recorded, you've toured, and you've distributed music. And I have a small amount of experience in most of those areas as well. I operate a Bandcamp page, which is not successful, but that's mainly because it's very niche music that I don't promote. But I'm familiar with the platform, and I know you are too, and probably more so than I. So that's what this episode is about, is Bandcamp.
Yeah.
And why people should take advantage of it and use it, and maybe some helpful tips to make it a little easier, make it a little bit more worth your while.
Sure.
So let's just start this by saying we are not being paid or promoted by Bandcamp. No. I think it's a great platform. I think I really hope that it continues to thrive the way it does, although I do feel that there's been a slight dip in its overall traffic and maybe visibility over the last few years.
There's ups and downs, right? People shift from one platform to another, but I don't think it changes the fact that it's a valuable, depending on how you use it, essentially free way to put your music out there, but also a way that puts the power back in your hands a little, so that if you wanted to make some money off of it, you actually can, compared to other distribution methods.
Yeah, and lots more. So let's start with just the basics here.
Yeah.
For people who don't know what Bandcamp is or are not very familiar with it, it's a music distribution platform. It's a website. They have an artist app and a fan app. Neither one of them are the greatest apps, but the website platform is great. It's very user-friendly, very easy to use, very easy to understand. Essentially, you create your profile, your artist page. You can customize the page in a lot of different ways, change the colors, the fonts, the images and stuff. And you upload your music to it. And at the most basic function, you put it out into the world, and it's free to use. It's free to upload your music. It's free to have a profile and upload your music. So there's no upfront costs whatsoever.
Yeah.
Which is a huge difference from getting your music out onto the major platforms like Spotify or Apple, which there are a few out there. I use CD Baby, which is a $10 per, with $9.99 per release. I'm not intimately familiar with DistroKid, but I know that they have a subscription thing.
DistroKid is pretty similar to CD Baby. They both have an option to do like lifetime distribution where you don't have to pay yearly and things like that, but pretty similar. They work about the same way.
Yeah. But that is an upfront cost, which, albeit it's not a lot. $10 to publish an album is not really that much.
It's not, considering it puts it on every possible digital platform.
Right. Yeah. That's an upfront cost with no promise of a return.
And the truth of the matter is you likely will not see a return unless you're getting tens or hundreds of thousands of listens, because it's, in the pennies for per thousand listen. And there's a threshold before they'll pay you out. Like I think DistroKid is $50 or something like that before you get a payout. So
CD Baby is 10 at the lowest.
Yeah. You can do the math there. There's a good chance you're not getting paid unless you're out there promoting the hell out of this or get on some playlists or something.
Right. Which the playlists, a lot of times you have to pay to advertise with Spotify or with CD Baby. They have partner groups that will build advertising pages or ads for you, but that's all a pay to play thing.
As far as Spotify is concerned, they say you cannot pay to get on a playlist. Now, I don't know if that's true, that behind the scenes, bigger labels or something are able to pay and influence and get stuff on there. But what you need to do is you need to submit your song for consideration weeks ahead of time before your album launches. Mm-hmm. And you have to tell them, here's the type of music it is. Here's the playlist I'd like it to go on, or, type of thing. And they will listen to it and determine whether or not. And sometimes it's not even listen to it. They'll look and say, you have under 100 listeners per month. We're not putting this on a playlist.
Right. Which is kind of backwards to their, discovery playlist idea.
Right.
Yeah. It's kind of the opposite there. Also, if you submit to the discovery playlist on Spotify, you only get 30% of the normal stream per play or pay for stream rate.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, with that said, you can still end up in release radar, but that's hit or miss.
Right. So Bandcamp, on the other hand, is, like I said, it's free to use. It's free to upload your music. You can upload as much stuff. There is no limit.
Mm-hmm.
You can upload thousands of albums if you want. And you could upload singles, EPs, albums, doesn't matter. And the cool thing is you can decide how much you want to charge for it. If you want to charge for it, you can put it up for free, or you can put it up for free with the option for the listener to pay.
I love that.
Any given amount. My preferred is setting a low price, like maybe $5 for an album, $10 for an album, maybe $3 for an EP or something like that. And then leaving that option to pay more, because a lot of times, not every time, but a lot of times people will pay more.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's pretty common. People, you know, whether it's a friend or whether they just love the band and they want to support you, they'll go, well, you know, it's $5, but I'm going to pay 10 just, you know, to keep supporting you.
Which is great. And as a avid Bandcamp user, as far as like a fan, I'm buying stuff on Bandcamp all the time. And I would say maybe half the time I pay more than what the actual cost is.
Yeah.
I'd like to do more, but I mean, you know,
right. You do what you can.
People only have so much money.
The other thing we need to clarify here is we're talking about money and being able to profit and make money from doing this. I don't think the goal really is make money for profit. It's make enough money so that you can pay for gas when you drive to the next city to play a show, put out physical copies of something, go record another song and, you know, get it mixed, make
print shirts.
Like, you're not going to get rich from this, but you know, if you've got an opportunity to be able to reinvest in what you're doing and keep doing it, this is a great way.
Yeah. And that's kind of the goal. And that's where I think it's a good springboard for, especially a band or an artist just starting out. You're recording your first demos. Put them up on Bandcamp. Yeah. You know, tell your friends, advertise it on your social media, and just say, hey, we're working on stuff. Here's our demos. If anybody's interested, they're on Bandcamp, and you could give them out for free just to drum up interest, or you can put a price on there, and that money that you potentially earn from that can be used to fund actual studio recording time or better gear, or, like you said, gas money to get to a gig or whatever.
Yeah.
Because no matter what you're doing, if you're playing music on a semi-professional level where you are releasing music to the public or you are playing shows, there's costs involved. You have to pay. There's always going to be stuff you have to pay for. Always.
I've never made money on a band. It all goes back into the band.
There is the potential to make money on the band. And sure, I mean, some people can eventually make a living on it, but I think for the purposes here, and I think for most people, for most bands in these small scenes that we're talking about, the goal is to just keep the ball rolling. Just make it so you're at least getting something back for the money that you've put in, so that you're not going broke doing it.
I mean, also it's validation, right? You're like, somebody gave a shit about what I did. That's cool.
Right. But, which is another thing, because on normal streaming services, I mean, you could look at your weekly or monthly reports, but it's all very vague and it's not in real time. And they have demographics kind of, but only if you've reached a certain level, and they're still pretty vague. With Bandcamp, there's real time stats. You can see how many people have listened to your music daily. You can see how many people have downloaded. And obviously when somebody buys, that money, that goes straight to you and it gets deposited into your PayPal account or whatever, like within a few days. So you are in constant awareness of people interacting with your music. And there's also, people can drop a comment right there on Bandcamp to let you know that, you know, hey, I listened to your album. I like it. And people can follow you, and you can see your followers. When you have followers on Spotify, you have no idea who they are.
Right.
Unless they reach out to you in a different platform.
Right.
But on Bandcamp, you can see everybody who has supported you or is following you, and you can interact with them. They can interact with you, which is great.
I mean, so here's the deal. We'll talk about other reasons, but the real message here is, don't think of CD Baby or DistroKid or whatever and getting onto big streaming platforms as the only thing you should be doing or need to do, that there are other options. And even outside of Bandcamp, you've got your SoundCloud, you've got whatever, but Bandcamp, if you're not using it, what we're saying is it's a valuable tool that puts a lot of power in your hands. Right. And, I think there was a lot of people aware Bandcamp was owned by, I think, Epic, like the company that makes Fortnite, but they no longer are.
Right. They bought the company back in 2022, I think.
Might have been somewhere around there. Maybe
it might have been a little earlier. Yeah. But they recently divested from it. I don't know who the current owner is, but
the current owner is it's a company out of California that like just buys and operates music sharing and, platforms and stuff. It doesn't seem like they're great either, but they're music at least.
Yeah. Right. At least the format and the platform hasn't really changed significantly in the last, I don't know how long. I've been using it for 5 or 6 years now, and it hasn't changed at all.
Yeah.
So
no, the experience hasn't changed because I've been using it for, I don't know, 15 years more. I don't know, something like that. But yeah, it's, always the same experience for the most part.
Again, Bandcamp is not the only thing you should use. You should use every resource
you should
at your disposal. Streaming services are great because it's exposure. I mean, that's about all you're getting out of it, really, is exposure, getting your music out to a lot of potential ears. Whereas Bandcamp doesn't have that reach. It's a lot more intimate, but it does have the potential to snowball and reach a lot of people.
Well,
but it really relies more on you advertising.
It does. Well, the truth of the matter is everything relies on you promoting and getting out there. But one of the things I want to talk about when it comes to Bandcamp is when you're putting your band or your releases out there, make sure you're being intentional about tagging genres and subgenres, because they do have charts. They do, you can go to the like beat down hardcore chart and see what bands are tagged that. And here are the most popular. I've discovered lots of bands that way. People have discovered my band that way. And this sounds weird, but if you're specific about your genres and subgenres, and I know a lot of people hate that concept, some of them are easy to get in the top. If you're getting some traction in a very specific subgenre and somebody happens to click on it, they're going to see you near the top of it, and it's good for you. It's great for visibility.
Those tags are also location based too, as well. So you can put Seattle, you can put Portland, Tacoma, whatever. I know a lot of times I'll just click Tacoma. What's popping right now locally.
For sure.
And you're seeing everything that's on there.
This show, that's great for you.
Right. But I mean, you could do that anywhere you live. So you can see bands that are, maybe playing in your currently playing or around in your area. Yeah. But also, SoundCloud is, I thought SoundCloud was a dead medium, but apparently it's not. It's coming back. And I don't know. I've used SoundCloud in the past, and I do have music that I've uploaded there, and I have listened to other artists on SoundCloud recently. So I know that it's very active, and a lot of bands are starting to put their music there exclusively or there first. And I don't know how their distribution or how their fees or payouts or whatever work. Maybe I can get somebody who's an expert on SoundCloud in here at some point, but that's still another avenue. And really, there's no right or wrong. You should just get your music everywhere. But Bandcamp has a benefit of just kind of like the culture of Bandcamp and just kind of the nature of what it is. You can put your roughest demos up there, and it's not going to come up on a playlist on Spotify and be like, what is this shit? It's, if the sound quality is a little off, or if it's a rough demo or a live recording, people know what they're getting into when they're looking at it, because you can give them all the context that they need with liner notes, lyrics, all that stuff on there.
Yeah. I also really like that Bandcamp gives you the power and ability to make adjustments. Let's say you put up some rough demos, but you've got a new release and you want people to hear that and you want to pull down. You can hide those old demos on there so that the public isn't seeing them, and repost them if you want, or delete them or whatever. Let's say you had a typo in a song title. You can go into Bandcamp right now and change it, but you cannot do that on streaming services. It would take months, years, or maybe never before you can make adjustments to your releases.
Right. Yeah.
So that's pretty cool too.
That is very cool. And everything is so customizable. You can have, I don't think there's a limit to how many genre tags you can have on a release. It's insane.
I'm sure there is some sort of limit, but it's probably more than you would ever need.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of times I just see people making up stuff, which is fine.
Great. You're at the top of your list then.
Right. And it just helps when people search for very specific things that they can find you. Now let's talk about when you upload your music. Say somebody wants to buy your album.
Yeah.
Their fee is...
For digital music, their fee is 10%. They take 10% of whatever your cut is. So if you sell an album for $10 digitally, they're taking $1 out of it.
Okay.
If you sell merch, which that's something we haven't talked about, physicals, if you're doing tapes, CDs, records, shirts, whatever, there's a merch tab. You can look at music, you can look at merch, you have a community tab, things like that. They take 15% of physical stuff. Now they don't do any shipping, distribution, they don't warehouse anything. They just allow you to communicate directly with the person that purchased it, gives you their info, and you ship it out. They are a virtual storefront and an easy one to use and a practical one to use. But that 10 and 15% is not the full fee. There are additional fees in the middle that have to do with payment, because there's payment processing fees that are 5 to 10% ish. So more or less, you're going to get 75 to 80% of whatever you sell something for, depending on the situation.
Right. Which is a lot more than any service that I know of.
Right.
For digital music. And I'm not too familiar with merch, but I gotta think that that's still a pretty good ratio for merch.
It is a good one for merch, because you're not going, you've got a lot of options for merch, and that's a different episode.
Right.
But
that will be a different one.
This is if you've already created your merch and you are equipped to send it out, this is not taking a huge chunk of your merch. It's pretty reasonable, I think.
Right. And they keep all of your sales organized and all of your, they don't have like a label printing system, do they?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can. What you'll get is a spreadsheet that's like, here are all your sales, here's the person's information. And I think you can export it like as labels to print out. I could be wrong on that. I'd have to go back in and look. Normally, I'm not selling so many at once that I need to do that. I just look at it and I just either write it out or print out a label and ship stuff.
Right. Which is a good deal.
I'll find out for you right now. Let me look.
Oh, okay. And while you're doing that, just for posterity's sake here, I looked it up, and the per stream rate for Spotify currently is 0.3 cents to 0.5 cents per stream.
Yeah. So I'll tell you this, I've been in a lot of bands, and again, some of them with varying levels of success, signed to a label, doing tours, stuff like that. Streaming, we've made, maybe in the hundreds of dollars from streaming.
And that's over the course of what?
Course of years.
5 years or so.
Yes, absolutely.
Lots of touring.
Yeah. We've been doing the fuckface for 2-3 years. Mm-hmm. I think we've maybe made $50 streaming, like maybe.
Yeah.
And Bandcamp, we've made thousands across the bands. You can actually sell directly and get that profit. So the streaming stuff is great because more people have access. You're getting in front of people, but as we talked about, just because you have that ability does not mean people are actually seeing it.
Right. Apple Music, their payout is between 0.7 and 1 whole cent per stream, which
Apple's
is more
generous.
than any. Yeah, that's the most out of any of the streaming platforms. I've seen people saying that Amazon pays the most, but as far as I can tell, it's pretty close to Spotify.
And everybody's listening to music exclusively on Amazon, so
right, because they have the best
answer.
Interface for listening to music.
For merch, when you go in to look at your merch orders, you've got right under the transaction ID on Bandcamp, print label, And when you go to print label, it'll generate a label that you can generate a PDF and print out. You can also put your return address in there. You can print a packing slip, or you can do labels and packing slips. That way you've got, you put your label on the outside, you put the packing slip inside, so it shows them exactly what they ordered.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really easy. They do it all for you.
I enjoy packing slips.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not enough people use them.
Like a little receipt.
Yeah. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's a great merch storefront. Obviously not the only option, but it's a good option.
Yeah. Especially if you're not working with a big one like Merch Now or something like that.
Right.
This gives you the ability to, sort of start up as little as you want and go from there.
Right. And you can put as much or as little stuff on there as you want. If you just have one style of t-shirt and you have 10 of them, you can put those up and
right.
You can tell people how many there are.
And how many of each size, so that when somebody goes in, they'll go, oh, I want XL, but you've only got a 2X left or something, So.
Right. Yeah. So that's another reason why for merch, it's a very good option. You get basically a built-in mailing list when you upload music to Bandcamp. Everybody who follows you has the option to sign up for emails, so that anytime that you release something or send a message out, or, say you want to announce something that's coming up, or you announce some show dates, every time you put something up on Bandcamp, everybody that follows you will get an email of that, which is a powerful tool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an indispensable advertising tool right there, and promotion. And it allows, I think, more engagement, and people are more likely to see. I know every time I get a Bandcamp related email, I open it up immediately. I'm like, cool. What is this band that I like? What are they doing? Do they have something coming up? Is it a new release? Are they playing a show? I want to know about it. So, and it comes as its own email from you. It doesn't come from Bandcamp. It comes under your name, which is very cool. I mean, you could set up your own email list, probably for free or cheap or whatever, but this is automatically generated every time you upload something, which is really cool.
Yeah. I mean, even better that somebody does it for you, right? There's already something in place that makes it easy. And I mean, you have a community tab on there that people that follow you, you can say, hey, I just released a new thing, or check out this, hey, everybody, thanks for listening, or something's coming up. So that's kind of nice too. Yeah.
And that goes to the emails. Mm-hmm. And then also people can respond to that and interact with you, send you a response. Also, when you buy something on Bandcamp, there's an option right underneath the payment. It says send a message, and you can review things after you've bought them, and that shows up on your album page. People can look at the reviews that your listeners have put up there, which is also really cool.
I really like those, because it's like there's a little supported by, and you see all the icons, and it'll put people's comments. That's cool to see.
That's really cool to see. So it's almost like having a social media engagement built into the music platform,
without the negatives of social media engagement.
Right. I mean, people could leave you negative reviews, but I've never seen one.
I've never seen it. I think, if somebody's coming in to buy your shit and they're leaving you a comment, the chances are, they sought you out here. They want to interact with you.
Right.
You're not just getting random person on, X that wants to, tout their agenda socially and tear you down or something. I don't know.
Right. Another bullet point here is that you could have your entire discography on one page, and it's all visible on one page, and you could organize it in any way you want. You could have it go chronologically, or you could have your biggest or favorite release at the top, any way you want to do it. I mean, like I said before, you could put demos on there, live albums. You could even put up covers. And I know they say you shouldn't, but I mean, nobody really knows. Nobody really cares.
They don't directly say you shouldn't, but they basically ask if you own the music.
Right. Correct. Right.
But I can tell you, nobody's checking to see if you put up a cover.
Correct. There's no AI algorithm going through and looking for covers
yet.
Hopefully not. And also, I mean, Yeah. Unless you're making a lot of money, I don't think anybody cares.
Right. You'd have to hit a certain level of visibility and fame
Right.
before somebody's going to come after you about that shit.
Right. And usually it's money motivated. So if you're not making any money, I don't think anybody will even notice.
And making money means like making need to claim it on your taxes type money.
Right. Right. You don't want to put everything that you've ever recorded up on Spotify. I don't know. Maybe you do, but
Maybe you do.
Maybe you do, but
you've put quite a bit up on Spotify.
Yeah, I think I have at the moment. I have 2 singles and like 2 EPs and 1 album. I think maybe.
I mean, I definitely have songs on Spotify that I'm like, yeah, we probably shouldn't have put that out, but that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I have one that I'm like, yeah, I like the song, but I don't like the version of it. So when I re-record it, I'll probably take that one down.
Yeah.
But the neat thing is you can put up on your Bandcamp a demo, get some response from it, see, kind of how people are liking it. Maybe maybe you're making some sales on it and you take that money and you take it to the studio and you record a professional album. Then that professional album you're really proud of. So you want to put that out everywhere. So you put that up on streaming services everywhere and Bandcamp. And then maybe people find you that way. They find your album. They're like, hey, this is cool. And then you promote your Bandcamp first and foremost on all of your socials and your link trees or whatever you're doing. And then people say, oh, okay, you have a Bandcamp. Let's see what's on there. Oh, there's more on there than there is on streaming. So then by having exclusive stuff, especially if people have already found your music and like your music, they're seeing that you have more stuff available that's not on streaming. They're more likely to engage with that and download it or buy it or whatever.
Yeah. I will say this, we're talking about sales, but even if you put your music up and make it free, which I kind of recommend if you're just putting up demos and stuff, honestly, just to get people to listen and, allow them to pay if they want, but don't require them to.
Yeah.
There's still value in that. You're still learning something. You're still getting your music out there. It's still helping you understand, what people are thinking or how they're reacting to what you're putting out there. So still value in doing it that way. One thing I do want to mention is if you're going to make a Bandcamp page, put a little bit of time, I'm not saying a ton of time, but into giving your page a look, some personality, make sure you don't just use the default, template or whatever, right. Go in, change the colors, put the images in, put your logo on there, put a photo of yourself or your band or whatever in there so that when somebody comes to your page, they're learning something about you. They're right. Going, oh, I understand the tone of this. This is cool. It makes me want to listen or I know more about them.
Yeah. I mean, this, but I am an insufferable nerd when it comes to owning or having an actual library of music that I like. If I like an artist, I don't want to just casually listen on a playlist on Spotify or whatever.
You want it all.
I want to have some kind of feeling of ownership over it, whether it's a CD or whether it's an MP3 download or it's a t-shirt or whatever. The bands that I have engaged with on Bandcamp, I feel more intimately connected to, if that makes sense.
For the most part, can connect. Like you can probably reach out directly through, Bandcamp. They're going to give you an email or something, right. Or you can leave them a message and there's a good chance, they'll interact with you.
Yeah. And for me, it's a really strong feeling of this is mine, not like in an exclusively way, not an exclusionary way, but just that, yes, this is my music. This is a part of my, media that I'm investing in.
Yeah.
Whether I'm paying for it or just engaging or whatever, I don't know. And maybe that's just a weird me thing. Maybe that's an old fashioned thing, but
maybe, I don't know. I like doing that stuff too. There's something to be said for, listen, if I discover a band on streaming, and I really love them, I'm going to go buy a physical copy or I'm going to buy a shirt or I'm going to do something to actually support them because I don't feel like streaming actually supports them.
Right. Exactly. And the beauty of Bandcamp is, I mean, you can be a huge band in your own scene where you're, selling out clubs, playing every weekend, selling tons of merch. You have, fans showing up, singing every word of your song, wearing your shirts to shows, but that might not be visible outside of your local scene. Whereas if you're using Bandcamp, that allows people from outside of your local area to still be able to engage with you and still be able to buy merch from you, still be able to kind of see what you're about. And it's almost like it's the next best thing to going to the merch table at a show.
It is. And it's really great and we definitely did this a lot, when I was in Hollowed Out. If we were playing out of town or if we went on tour, we would come back and put up all the tour leftovers on Bandcamp. And inevitably, people that saw us but didn't have any money or thought about it or listened after the show decide they want it, and they would come and buy merch from there. So it gives people an opportunity that either didn't get to come see you or that did and went back and listened to go, oh, this is an opportunity for me to, grab merch when I couldn't do it before.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've done that before, because sometimes you're at a show and maybe you don't get a chance to hit the merch booth, or maybe you didn't see it, or maybe you didn't think of it at the time, but then you thought about it over the next few days. You're like, man, that band was really good. I want to get one of their shirts or something. Yeah. And you could do it that way. Or sometimes, you're at a show, you don't have any cash on you. And maybe they don't have the band doesn't have a Square or card reader or whatever, because let's be honest, all these payment methods, for an independent band, it could be a little overwhelming, and not everybody has access to everything.
Right. Not everybody's got Venmo or whatever.
Right.
I'll flip it around the other way as well. We have been out on the road and sold the merch that we had or sold out of certain things, came back, reprinted and put it up. Mm-hmm. And that, or, when you're first starting out, you don't have physical merch maybe to sell. So you go out, you play shows, you do your thing. And when the time comes, you can use a site like Bandcamp to get that merch up and then sell to people that wanted to buy and would have bought, but you didn't have anything to sell.
Correct. And let's move on to another thing here. On the page, on your Bandcamp page, you can put a link to your website or your Instagram, Facebook, a link tree, whatever, right there on the page, directly below your bio, which you write yourself, by the way. And
for better or for worse.
Right.
And listen, bands, if you're writing a bio, don't be too self-indulgent. Keep it simple. Right. Tell people what you do. Don't talk about yourself like you're a superstar.
Right. Exactly. Like that's one of the areas where the major streaming platforms just are absolutely lacking, is if you discover a band on, say it's suggested for you on Spotify or Apple, or you find it in a playlist and you're like, man, that band kicks ass. Where can I find out more about this band? You have to type it up somewhere and look it up. There's no links in there. There's no, hey, well, I think Spotify does have a little bit of that now.
So, Spotify has Spotify for Artists, which is getting more feature complete. There's, you can go in and you can change up your images. You can add additional images. Right. You can put in your bio. I have to look to see if you can put links in. You may be able to.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I know with Apple you cannot, which sucks, or at least it's not visible on the app. But that's the cool thing. Another cool thing about Bandcamp is that you can have a link right there. So if somebody discovers you, likes your music, they can be like, where can I find out where these guys are playing? Where can I interact with these guys on social media? Where can I find other things? Blah, blah, blah. Right there. There's a link. And I'll get into that in a different episode, but links are stupidly important for bands to use online. I'm not going to get into the weeds here, but I cannot tell you how many times I've tried to look up a band, either backtracking from Bandcamp or backtracking from their social media, trying to find their actual music somewhere. If there's no link, you're throwing a dart at a wall, because especially if you have a name that is kind of common-ish or can be common, or if you're a band that has less than 100 listeners.
Or if you're a band that spells your name weird and people don't automatically look for it spelled that way. Right. You could do a whole episode on the do's and don'ts of promotion.
Funny you should say that, because that is an upcoming episode.
Oh, yeah. Good. Yeah.
Yeah, they also offer you to have the option to bundle all of your releases together
which is cool.
at a discounted rate. So
Yeah.
say all your albums are $5 and you have 3 albums, so that's $15. You can give people the option to buy all 3 of them for say 50%. So then you're paying $7.50 for all 3 albums.
Yeah.
And
I like doing that.
yeah, I do that every so often, or advertise it like for a special event or whatever. And also another thing that, and I didn't write this down, but the main thing that I've used my Bandcamp for personally, and the only time I've really made any significant traction on it, is by doing fundraisers. It's a thing that I saw artists doing in 2020, and I thought, man, this is such a cool tool to use to raise money for like a nonprofit. I chose the Trevor Project.
Yeah.
And I also did one for Planned Parenthood. And it's so easy because all the sales come directly to your PayPal. And so you have it right there. And then you can just send 100% or 50%, whatever you want to do, off to a charitable donation. That is basically the only time my Bandcamp has gotten a lot of traction. But also it's the only time I've really advertised, and I don't upload music very often. So,
yeah. And Bandcamp also does some, hey, it's a Bandcamp Friday, or
Yes.
I've seen them do, a major event happens. And I don't know if they've done it for this, but like for the wildfires in California, it's the type of thing where they're going to be like, hey, for this weekend, we're going to donate our take of the proceeds or whatever, things like that. So they do a lot of cool stuff like that. I was going to talk about the fact that your listeners, if they're using Bandcamp, have some options. They can basically go in and stream a song for free, and you've got you can control that, whether they get to stream or how many streams they get,
Right.
or when they buy it, they get unlimited streams and stuff. But also if they do purchase and download, they've got options. You can download as MP3s. They can download as WAV files, and they've got other formats and stuff too. So it really is allowing you to get great quality stuff too, if you want to make sure that, you're giving all the options to your listeners.
Right. Because that's something that should definitely be brought up, is that the vast majority of music streaming is very low quality.
Yeah. It's compressing your music. It's not
so bad.
presenting it in the best way.
Apple has a lossless now, which sounds pretty good. It's still not as good as a WAV file, but it's pretty damn good. I don't think most people would really notice much of a difference. But you have to have a reliable Wi-Fi or data signal, or you have it downloaded. And I think Spotify has what they're calling maybe high definition or whatever. It's still not. It's piss poor, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Amazon has high quality, but again, nobody uses Amazon because it sucks. But yes, with Bandcamp, you can download it as an MP3. If you just want to throw it on your phone for just quick access, low storage, you could download it as a FLAC or as a WAV file. If you want higher quality, if you want to bootleg yourself a copy of a CD of a band, you can download WAV files, rip those onto a CD, and there you go. You've got something that sounds like it came from the factory.
I mean, I don't think it counts as a bootleg. If you have purchased the album and you're burning it to a CD, you're allowed.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's really, really cool option too. And they give you the option with each download, and you can download it multiple times. You could download it as many times as you want.
Once you bought it, you can keep downloading it. Yeah.
Right. Or if it's at a zero cost, you download it for free, and it shows up the same. It doesn't show up in your library though. If you've only downloaded it. Right. If you haven't actually put a dollar amount on there.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Good to know.
Let's see. We've talked about direct messaging. Oh, also you could add lyrics to your songs on there. And fun fact, I use an app on my phone called Musicalette, which is an MP3 player. And so I have a vast digital library on a memory card on my phone, which again, I'm weird, but
you are weird.
Yeah. So if you've downloaded a song from Bandcamp and that song has the lyrics embedded into the song file or into the song upload, those lyrics will show up on this app. If you press view lyrics, boom, it's right there. So just like you're listening on Apple and you press the, view lyrics or whatever, it's right there, which is super cool. And if you're looking at the website, you can look at the lyrics. You could also put up liner notes. Now you could as simple as like production credits, performance credits, writing credits. There's a section for that. And then there's also a section for just notes. And I don't know what the character limit is, but it's a lot. You can write a freaking book on there.
As much or as little as you want to put.
Right. Because I think that's really important. It's not, I don't think it's always really important, but I think for a lot of people's music, especially if you're putting up demos or you're putting up older stuff, or if you have a concept behind something, or there's a certain message that you want people to know about your music, you can put that on there. And it's like opening up an LP or a CD and reading the liner notes.
Also, bands, just like the bio, I urge you not to be too self-indulgent.
Correct.
Tell people that being self-indulgent with stuff like that, to me, is kind of a turnoff. Like, be realistic, tell people something valuable, but don't make it something it's not.
Right. Yeah. And it's also kind of weird when a super indie, not very well known band has a bio or liner notes that look like they were written by somebody else. Like written in the third person,
but is clearly written by the band.
Yeah, allegedly, may or may not be.
Right.
But I mean, again, there's no wrong. I mean, you can do that ironically, or not.
Yeah,
it's fine. Yeah,
that's not what this episode's about. It's just telling you that you've got the option. Also,
fun fact: when you sell physical media on Bandcamp, they report that to Billboard.
If you have a barcode generated
Correct.
for it, there has to be a UPC number. But yes, it does count as they track the sales. And if you sold enough, even digital as well, not just physical.
Because there's an option on there to put a UPC code on your song or your album. And if you're wondering, how do you get that? Well, if you've ever uploaded music on a CD Baby or a DistroKid, they will assign you a UPC code. And you can copy and paste that and put it on your Bandcamp. And if you're printing CDs or tapes or whatever, you can take that barcode number and input it into the whatever platform or whatever tool that you're using to manufacture the
vice
album.
versa. If you are getting physicals made, they will ask you if you need a barcode, and you can. I think it's a nominal fee, but they'll generate one for you that you then can use for all the digital stuff, whether it's streaming, whether it's Bandcamp.
Right. If you do it right, you can have one barcode, one UPC number for every version of your release. And if you sell enough or stream enough, it should all go funnel into Billboard or whatever.
You shouldn't do it wrong and have more than one UPC. That would be
you really shouldn't.
Don't do that.
You shouldn't have more than one version of
You should not.
I don't know. You should. You do whatever you want.
You know what you should do? You should release, whenever an album comes out, do like 4 versions with slightly different colored covers.
Oh God, who does that?
Who does that?
Who does that? Is there anything else? I think we've exhausted my list.
Yeah, we've talked about a lot of things. And again, Bandcamp is one of a large set of tools. And I think this whole conversation is just saying, hey, if you're not using it, here's why you should. And that it's not to say you shouldn't use the others. You should use them all.
Yes.
Although I've got conflicted feelings about streaming, but
Yeah, so do I. But there's no denying that that's pretty much the only way that your music is going to get heard or potentially heard by a lot of people.
That's how I listen to music. So it is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah. Right. But I would suggest that if you are using Bandcamp, you should prioritize Bandcamp in your promotions.
Especially, if you are a DIY type band, if you are an indie band, a punk band, a hardcore band, a metal band, hip hop, whatever you are, that you are, sort of working that indie circuit, Bandcamp is a great, this is where we'd prefer you to go. Of course, I know the world is streaming these days, but I think it's a great way for you to have control over your music.
Right. So in your link tree, put your Bandcamp right above Spotify and Apple.
Yeah.
Or actually in Linktree, it gives you the option to just put in whatever, and it had a drop-down menu of everywhere it's available. And then you just customize that so Bandcamp moves up to the top.
Yeah. Digital distribution does not distribute to Bandcamp. That's got to be.
That's another key thing. And I've heard a lot of people not be aware of that or forget that that's a thing. if you're using a digital distributor, they will not upload to Bandcamp. You have to do that manually, which it's not hard. It takes a few minutes. I mean, it could take you maybe a half hour or so to upload something, or longer depending on
how much info you want to put in.
How much info, but the actual uploading of the music and the artwork is very fast. It's however long it takes to upload a file.
Yeah.
But you have to do that you have to do that independently, but you could also do it ahead of time and set a release date.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That is something that you have to remember.
Yeah. It's an extra step, but
it's an extra step.
Doing.
It's definitely worth doing. All right. Well, my good friend Erik, thank you very much for jumping on this podcast and helping me unload this massive undertaking.
Listen, anytime I get to hang out and talk to you, I'm happy. And especially if we get to talk music. So
is there anything else we talk about?
Sure. I don't remember what, but I'm sure we've talked about other things.
It usually starts or ends with music.
Yeah.
So Erik, what is it that you want to promote? What is it that you do that you think people might be interested in?
I don't assume people are interested in anything I do, but I do a few things.
You never know.
Yeah. If you'd like to check it out, you can. I've got a podcast with my friends called Twisted With Us. That's TWYZTID, like the rap group. And we talk about Twisted and Insane Clown Posse. And it started out being kind of a funny thing. And we have now 5 years really dug into this scene and met a lot of people and learned a lot of stuff. So it's a fun show, whether you're into that kind of music or not. We like to think it's the kind of show that, you could have fun with. I also make music. I used to be in a band called Hollowed Out, but we kind of went our separate ways a few years ago, but the music is still out there. So you can go to our Bandcamp, hollowedouthc.bandcamp.com, and you can buy and listen there. But currently I am producing hip hop stuff with if we said hip hop is punk, this is the most true representation of that, because I think our music is more punk than hip hop, honestly. But we're called Fuckface, FUKKFAACE, spelled wrong, yes, .bandcamp.com.
Yes. And I would definitely recommend for people to check out both Hollowed Out and Fuckface, two very different sounding projects, but also very similar in a lot of ways. And I enjoy them both.
Thanks.
Yeah. And the podcast, if you're into weird rap music made by people with face paint, definitely check it out, because it's a lot of fun. It's actually how we met through that podcast.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun.
And even if you're not into that kind of music, you can listen to the first half hour and turn it off.
Correct. Because the first half hour usually has nothing to do with the music you were discussing later on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you very much. We will probably be speaking again on another one of these installments.
I'd love to.
Handbook for the Recently.
Seriously, go check out Hollowed Out. Great band, unfortunately not active anymore. Also check out Erik's other project, Fuckface. Good old-fashioned horrorcore, ICP-inspired, wicked rap. Really well done stuff. I'm going to break my rule here. This is probably the only time I'm going to do this. I'm going to play a track for you from Hollowed Out. This is off of their 2020 release entitled Promise Nothing. The song is called Ego Suicide. This is not a Seattle band, but they were a band from Texas. He lives in Seattle now. It counts.
I can't escape my own mistakes. I against me, fighting against myself. I can't escape my mistakes and my failures. There's death behind my eyes, hitting me on my soul. need to face and destroy what I am. This is ego suicide. Suicide. I will watch this part of me die. This is ego suicide. Suicide. I will watch this part of me die. Put your arms around me. Tell me how it feels to embrace your hopelessness. This is ego suicide. Suicide. This is ego suicide. Suicide.
Off the top of my head, I would like to say that punk is about community. I think it's about bringing people together and giving them a safe place to let out all these emotions and all of these things that they've been facing out in one space. And to be able to, I think, let out all that energy is punk. It's beautiful. And when you're around all of those people that just support you and support you for who you are and what you're showing, that is, I mean, the best sense of community I think anyone could probably feel. It's really beautiful, I think, also just to see all these people come together to appreciate one thing. And just that constant circle of love is something it's beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you, Dominic. That really means a lot. I honestly couldn't say it any better. That's what this is all about. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to others in the scene. And hey, if you're at a venue, especially an all-ages venue, don't be shitty. Don't be a jerk. Don't get fucked up and drink and act like a jerk. Throw up everywhere. Push people around that aren't in the pit. You know, maybe don't start fires outside. I don't know. Just respect the space, respect the people, respect the bands, the venues. We're all there to have a good time. That's what this is all about. To be ourselves and to have a good time. And on the topic of that, really hoping to see everybody at Real Art on March 8th for International Women's Day. Huge show there. Ton of bands. Starts at like 3 p.m. Goes all night. A ton of bands. In the meantime, I forgot to mention last episode, we have a Discord server. I myself have partnered with Puget Scene Reports. They set up a Discord community for the local scene, artists and fans alike, just anybody who's in the scene. You're more than welcome to come. There's a link in my bio, or drop it in the bottom of the show notes as well. It's called The Rally. It's a Discord community, just really chill place for people to hang out online. I highly recommend it. Good people there. Check out my playlist. I update it anytime there's a new release that hits my radar from a local band. It's got roughly 12 months worth of stuff on there. It's ridiculously huge. I think it's like 6 hours or something right now. I may trim it down. I may not. You can find that in the show notes. Also, it's on Apple and Spotify. Pretty much same list, both places. Go to the YouTube page, UGTV. Watch some cool live videos from bands that I've seen. Follow me on Instagram, Grit City Punk. You can find me on Freak Scene. You can find me on fucking Blue Sky. Big shout out to my homie Erik. Thank you for doing this with me. Shout out to the bands that I featured. And I've got one more band to feature. And this is a band called Night Court. They're out of Vancouver, BC. I had the privilege of seeing them on one of their more recent runs down here. That was in like November, I think, maybe October. They put on a heck of a show. This song is called We Were the Kids. Night Court. I'm out. Peace.
This has been a Jiggle Down Productions production.
For our hearts on our sleeves, rubbing shoulders with the punks.
if you can just do a little stinger intro for me, something along the lines of, this is Grit City Punk, or you are listening to Grit City Punk, or I'm Erik and you're listening to some dumb shit about stuff, whatever you want to do, funny, serious, whatever.
All right. I'm going to give you 2 or 3 and you can use whichever one you want.
Great. I might use all of them.
Hey, what's up? You are listening to Grit City Punk.
All right.
All right. Hey, bitch, you're listening to Shitty Titty Spunk.
Definitely using that one.
Yo, welcome to Grit City Punk, the grittiest, cittiest, punkiest podcast around. Hey, what's up? This is Erik. You're listening to Grit City Punk. There you go.
All right. Thank you for providing options.